Right. So in classic PSL fashion, the playoffs contestants have been determined pretty early on. We knew a long way ago that the four teams that were most likely to make the playoffs were all teams barring the two big cities, Karachi and Lahore. We saw that from a mile away, and that's exactly what's happened, right? I mean, the danger with six teams is you sometimes see a very clear divergence earlier on. The PSL has, in some ways, lived up to its billing of promoting Pakistani players, but at the same time, there is that lingering feeling that the promotion that we're seeing does not quite translate into international standards. Is it PSL inflation or is it genuine talent? That's the question we are all faced with, especially this time round after seeing our international team standards drop so significantly. I've got Zahid with me. Zahid, you know, we haven't done a dedicated episode on PSL, but isn't this the real question that most cricket fans in Pakistan are trying to grapple with?
As in, why haven't we done an episode on the PSL?
No, well, I mean, no, I meant as in the PSL inflation. Is it
I know,
PSL
I know, I know.
inflation?
Just before you say, I go there. You, I don't know if you were hinting at something when you specifically meant Pakistani players and promotions, or you referring to a specific person who's been promoting himself up the order. But
To like the
was it
pinnacle
like a
without a
link?
player.
Um, but
This is
look,
like a classic gully cricket captaincy. When you played gully cricket and you were made the captain. I remember in junior school, like we used to sometimes play cricket in
yeah.
break, and whenever you were made captain, you're like, I want to be the strike bowler who bowls the first over, and I want to be the main batter. And it looks like Shine Afridi has just taken that on. He wants to just do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's leading from the front, and then there's this, right? Which, I mean, when you have players like, I mean, okay, it kind of paid off sort of paid off in the game against Quetta, was it? Yeah, Quetta, but then the day before against Karachi, didn't. He promoted himself, and then it was Sikandar Raza and Weezer who actually played well in the end, and they got them to a decent score. And if they probably came in earlier, they would have won the match. Um, but look, back to the main point around PSL inflation and performances and stuff. Look, to be honest, yes, it's. I think I've seen this story so many times now that as amazing as it is to see Babar Azam 2.0 and people will start having a go at me for doing this. Even Saud Shakil, he's been phenomenal, done really well. Shadab Khan, the batsman, I mean, we've seen it so many times every PSL. This just does not translate into international arena. And the point is, look, this is only true for the batting, right? The bowling has been horrendous. I mean, Shahid Afridi, you saw, he's been average at best. Shadab Khan went for 50 in 4 overs. He got 50 with the bat as well. But so as good as some of these performances have been, it's great for the PSL. It's great entertainment. But look, I mean, I've seen this so many times. You've had what was it? Sharjeel Khan, Fahim Ashraf, Hassan Ali, Asif Ali. I can go on and on about all these PSL bullies. Uh, Simon Lee
Sohaib
was one.
Masood. I
Sohaib
remember
Masood,
Sohaib
the bowling,
Masood.
Shahnawaz Dahani with the ball. That's how long he's been injured, so really can't say much. But
Zaman Khan.
Zaman Khan, there he's had a pretty poor one this year anyway. RS Rauf maybe maybe not, but I mean, so yeah, and it's the same with all these new leg spinners that have come in, right? What's his name? Asif Yaqub or something in
Yeah,
Quetta.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I mean, you've seen it, so you've seen it all, and it's just yeah, I really it's fun to watch. Yes, it's a PSL. It's whatever league stages, but I'm not getting too carried away. People are saying obviously this new Usman Khan guy who's technically a UAE national, he can play for Pakistan. Fine, Heather Ali it was the same a few years ago. Showed sparks. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm very pessimistic here, but I've just seen this script so many times that it's very difficult to be optimistic about these performances, including Babar Azam 2.0.
Yeah, and before people start switching off this channel or start sort of blasting us in comments, look, we are die-hard Pakistan fans, right? There is nothing
Yeah,
we'd like to see more than for Pakistan to succeed. It's just unfortunate that we are living at a time when the national team sort of has been exposed, right? And what that does is you suddenly, all those cracks that you've tapered over all these months and all these years start getting exposed right through the domestic structure, right? So now you like, even though I personally think these signs were there to see in the previous two PSL editions, but
yeah,
we chose not to see them. We chose to get carried away by the Asif Ali machine that would hit 156s a day in the nets. We chose to see Shaheen Afridi as this prodigy Wasim Akram in the making. And we chose to see Babar Azam being compared to, forget Virat Kohli. I mean, there were people comparing to Sachin Tendulkar a long time ago, and it's just sometimes, even forget comparing to Indians, even to like the Javed Miadas and Inzamams of our time. Like, it's sometimes when you are on a high, you choose not to see these things because the question everyone asking is what's happened. Nothing's happened. It's just now we are sort of being exposed to, and our eyes have been, you know, so eyes
yeah.
have been like, it's like someone holding your eyes, and now you can actually see it. Okay, so number one, spin. Okay, let's start with spin. This has been an issue for Pakistan since 2006. Yes, barring Saeed Ajmal, you have not created and sort of groomed a world class spinner. For a long time, you did not see that because you had these really capable all rounders that sort of carried the burden. Shahid Afridi, Muhammad Hafiz, and to an extent, Shoaib Malik. Right? But no specialist spinners came out of your ranks. So now that Afridi is injured, and now that Shadab Khan is no longer performing, you are in a real crux, right? You don't have a solution. Osama Mir, who looks like Shane Warne in the PSL, you look like this guy could just bowl the ball of the century. But this is one of those things that batters make bowlers look good sometimes, and and
Exactly.
um, and
I
vice
mean,
versa. Right?
I'll just pause you. Sorry
Please.
for interjection,
No,
but
no, no.
you kind of linked this to the batting. I think that's what I want to come on to. Right, again, someone who, as a batsman, I didn't name in my list of PSL inflators, as I'll call it, is Iftikhar Ahmed. Right, I mean, he's had a good PSL. He's had a few very good finishes, but the guy still can't play leg spin. I mean,
I
you
mean,
put, of course, he's going to make Osama look good. So,
and the thing is, you are professional
I mean,
batsmen.
they're the same team. Okay, whatever, but it's like
No,
the
no, but still,
equivalent
I
of.
mean, but more reason, man. You should be playing him in the nets and at least getting some sort of comfort. The thing is, you're a professional batter. Everyone has footage of every player from all these domestic leagues. There was a time when these domestic leagues weren't even televised, right? Now they're
Yeah.
fully televised. People will have tapes on Iftikhar and all our other talented players. As soon as a weakness gets spotted at any level, that's it. So, in order to be a match winner consistently, you
Yeah.
need to evolve and sort of correct your faults, right? Iftikhar Ahmed has a clear fault against leg spin. He's had it for 3 years, and it's really disappointing. And I know old habits die hard, and this is where you can make a joke on Iftikhar Ahmed's age here. But putting all that aside, you need to like at least I'm not asking you to hit a six of every ball, but at least nudge for a single, get off strike, or just nudge for ones and twos, maybe get hit the odd boundary, right? The only time when I felt Iftikhar Ahmed came out with a mission against spin was against Kuldeep Yadav in the World Cup. He came out, hit him second ball for four. It was a shot of authority, and then he was a bit unlucky the way he got out, right? That was the only time I felt okay. This guy is trying to do something, right? And we're talking leg spin here, okay? So I know people say, oh, that T20 World Cup innings against India and even one
Yeah.
against South Africa, but we're not talking about anything else. But you're right. That was the next point I was going to come on. Spin works both ways. It's the bowling and it's also the playing off spin that's been really disappointing. The other point I'd bring up is, you have Babar Azam, right? You have, all these really talented players, so-called talented players. You mentioned Haider Ali, right? The issue is in these tournaments, right? They get to play in their preferred position. Okay. And I feel in the modern game more than ever, batters and bowlers get used to certain roles and they're
Yeah.
unable to adapt their game. We saw it with Haris Rauf, right? We've seen, I mean, he's a clear textbook example of somebody who can only bowl after the power play is done. He can't adapt. When Pakistan needed him in the World Cup to come in with a new ball, he couldn't do it. The same with the batting, right? Haider Ali does really well in these particular positions, and then once he gets pushed a little out of his comfort zone and has to adapt a bit to his team's requirement, he doesn't succeed. And I've been getting reels time and again about how Pakistan have really, really wasted Haider Ali because they used to make him bat number six when he used to play for Pakistan. Well, come on, man. Come on. Like, come on. You are a professional cricketer. You should be able to bat at any position in T20 cricket,
Exactly.
right? And the last point I'll make is my favorite Shadab Khan. Facebook still thinks I'm a massive fan of Shadab Khan because I still keep getting reels of Shadab Khan's batting. And the funny thing is, it's only the one game I get reels of. And you can guess that game. It's against South Africa in the T20 World Cup. It's been close to 2 years since that game. And I still get reels. Right now, instead of the full innings, I'll get 1/6 in that. And,
Yeah.
and that just goes to show the sample size is just so small. Right. But there you have it. Right. I mean, my bit of a rant. But basic point is we've seen the signs have been there for a while and I just don't see really high quality talent on a consistent basis coming through.
I mean, I guess we've identified the problem, and deep down inside, I know that a lot of patriotic Pakistanis will be like, "Oh, what are you talking about? PSL, blah blah blah." This fantastic league, and it is Pakistan's product. So obviously, yes, we support it, but we want to see it better, right? And of course, we're not going to compare it to the IPL because you just can't. But what's the way it's going to get better, right? I mean, you look at the Big Bash League; it's not the same quality as the IPL. You look at the English League, right? The T20 Blast, Vitality Blast, whatever it's called now. Um, it's not the same level as the IPL, but still they end up producing very, very good, at least in the batting, very, very good T20 players. In Pakistan just don't. What's is
You
it? Is
know,
it, is it just a case of getting better foreign players in? Will that solve the issue, or what is it?
so look, partly that is to do with, that is a big part of the issue, right? The PSL is not given the same respect as other leagues when it comes to keeping a vacant spot in the international calendar, just like the IPL commands, right? The PSL is not there yet. Question whether it'll ever be because there just aren't enough days in the year to be able to have leagues and have the international calendar unaffected by these leagues. So you end up with a position where the players that come for PSL are either players who are discarded from the national team for national duty, or those that are past their prime and are starting to get a bit overlooked. Right, so you have rid of the aging players. You need better foreign players, and whether that is by increasing the quota of foreign players that play, for a short period of time, maybe on a temporary basis, that is something you may want to consider. I know the con of that is you're not giving your talent a chance, but I genuinely believe that the best way of learning is by surrounding yourself with international standard players.
Yeah,
That's why India's IPL is so successful at churning out talent, even though a lot of that talent sits on the bench in a lot of games in the IPL. But they just, or at least in their earlier years, that's what happened. But they used to absorb. They were like sponges. They absorbed when these players would just perform on the big stage. Look, the other thing is there is an element of competitiveness that comes in, right? Unfortunately, we only have 6 teams. So 4 out of
yeah,
6 make it into the semis, right? So there is a genuine feeling when you watch. I remember first it used to be five, right, and four used to make it. There
Yeah,
was a genuine feeling that the group stages aren't that important. If you win a couple of games, you're pretty much going to be in the running. There'll
yeah,
always be one team that loses everything from the start. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
there is a question to be had on whether you need to have an extra team. Now that lends itself again. There's a con of that, which is when you add the number of teams, the quality sometimes gets diluted, but not always. That only happens when the pool is limited, right?
yeah,
Then you're just dividing it. But in this case, because you have foreign players who you can bring in, you can bring in more foreign players if you want. The pool isn't restricted, right? So you can have an extra team and just expand the quota of international players. And maybe you do that for one season, see how it goes. So, I mean, these are some ideas, like they're not perfect, but I genuinely believe that that's how you can perhaps start sowing the seeds. The other thing is if other leagues start or the other franchises start doing what Lahore did. I mean, for all of criticism on Haris Rauf and Zaman Khan
yeah,
and all, Lahore have really started academies to nurture local talent. Other
yeah.
franchises have not been as successful. Probably that perhaps may be the first starting point.
Yeah, I mean that does require a lot of investment, and that is something that you need patience with, right? You'll probably get to see results in years three, four, and five, and
Yeah,
you need to have
exactly.
that patience. And I guess that will come with PCB backing. But I do agree. I think it is a good product. It does need to be polished a lot with the greater good of, I guess, Pakistan cricket and its development in mind. But just mindless promotions of in batting orders and stuff, it's not the way to do it as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is
Uh,
like very childish, isn't it? I mean, that someone's like,
yeah,
oh no, I want to lead by example. I've listened to Imran Khan's story of the World Cup '92. I just want to follow that example, and it starts getting a bit, you become a bit of a laughing stock, right? Um, but the one last point I'll just make is also I think I've been a bit disappointed with Karachi's capacity in terms of
yeah,
attendance. Sorry, I meant attendance. Right, Lahore has been packed crowds. Pindi has been packed crowds. Multan's been packed. Karachi's been hopelessly
yeah.
empty. That's as a Karachiite, I'm disappointed in that. Right, I can sort of understand it. It's and maybe you have to make tough decisions and just start using the PSL to promote cricket in other cities like Faisalabad.
Yeah,
Faisalabad had a stay as the Iqbal Stadium. Have more
yeah.
games than Multan. And a lot of players come from these
Yeah.
parts of the world. Like Gujranwala, I remember used to be a stadium, and then don't forget the
Or
famous
have
Sheikh Pura.
exactly Wasim Akram's 257. But or you just have a you have proper home and away type situation where you have that probably will make a difference. But yes, in fact all the PSL teams, they should, I mean Quetta is, let's not go there, but you know but I think if there's a way to do that might help with the attendance as well, because this like chunk of like legs here and there, I don't know, it probably doesn't work well.
Ideally, home
Because you
and
don't have
away.
that home
Yeah,
you don't have that home and away feeling, right?
exactly.
Um, and obviously the performance of the team makes a difference, right? If Karachi was doing well, then maybe people would have come out in numbers to support them. But they've not had a good PSL, and that's probably also meant that people have lost the motivation to go to grounds. And I know there's like admin issues as well, and you have to park your car like 2 kilometers away and walk and stuff. So there are other admin issues also. But yeah, I think it's a good way they can use the PSL to promote the smaller grounds as well. I think that'll be a big help. Like India have done also. They've, I think all the
A
teams, they
lot.
don't play in the same venue anymore, right? So yeah, I think that's a
Yeah,
big thing.
exactly.
The only point the only point I'd make is, again, I think, I don't know if I made this in this episode yet, but we talked about out of the four of the six qualifying. Ironically, the only two that have not qualified this year are the two captained by Pakistan's international captains. I'm not sure if that says anything, but
I mean, it's sort of the curse of captaincy, I mean, Shaheen Afidi was like this golden child of captaincy. He was aggressive, he was tenacious. Suddenly gets burdened with the national sort of captaincy, and it all just starts going downhill. And
yeah,
like, look, I'd like to think they're not connected. I hope so, certainly. I think in Karachi's case, Karachi just have a
Yeah,
weak squad, right? So I think that's sort
yeah,
of understandable. But I just think we're now getting into a position where, um, look, there was a time when people used to say the best quality league from a bowling perspective was the PSL. Now
yeah.
it's definitely not, right? And that just means that we rest our laurels on one or two bowlers, and right, and now because they're not firing, suddenly it makes
Yeah,
everyone else look pretty
yeah,
pretty bland. Uh, Look, I don't want to sound all doom and gloom, right? As you say, PSL is our product, right? And there is a lot of talent there. It's just that it needs nurturing. It needs like proper mentorship, proper coaching. I think that's the one thing PSL have invested in from time to time.
yeah,
There's Viv Richards there that sits with Quetta, etc., etc. But it's just we need our national sort of heroes to start coming good, right?
true.
And once they start coming good, then the others will follow suit, right? And let's face it, I mean, I like the look of Abbas Afridi. I know he goes for runs sometimes, but I think he's really talented. I think he could answer. Mohammad Wasim, who could be on number 6, I don't know. He pulled a Javed today. I mean, 4 of the last ball against your spearhead of the national team. I mean, you never know. And look, I will say, out of everybody, I've been most impressed with Saud Shakil. I, like you, have been disappointed with him, especially recently, as in the Australia series, in the World Cup. A lot was expected of him. We were big supporters
Yeah,
of him, and he let us down. He felt as if he looked a bit timid and scared. But this PSL, he's done it against every team, right? And he's even taken really good bowlers to the cleaners like Shaheen Afridi today, right? So I
yeah,
think so. Shakil, to his credit, has really adapted his game from being someone who was only considered for Test cricket to suddenly being in,
yeah.
at least considered around the limited overs and T20,
True.
particularly format.
I mean, the only concern I have is you have so many of these opening batsmen now, and we've kind of gone through this breakup of Rizwan and Babar. I don't know, with Saim Ayub, Saud Shakil, Sabzala Farhan, I think at Lahore, Fakhar Zaman, Hasibullah. Yeah,
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
name,
he's a
right?
top. He's number 3.
So there were lots of top ball players. Yeah. Thank you, Zaid, for this. Obviously, we have the playoffs coming up. Hopefully, as the matches get more intense, where there's more at stake, let's hope for better contests and really strong individual performances. Thank you, Zaid, and we'll speak soon.